Good afternoon, friends. Welcome to a next episode of our Unbreakable Men, where we get real. We get real, authentic men that are willing to step up, share their stories about what it took to find their unbreakable strength through some of life's most challenging moments. And we truly love showcasing stories of men like you that are out there doing the work, that are showing up every single day, and that are claiming their territory and walking through life with purpose and intent. And today I am very excited to introduce you to someone who I met pretty recently at a competition. And we'll get into that here in a moment. But let me tell you a little bit about our friend Anthony, who is coming on with us today. He was born in New Orleans, Louisiana, raised between New Orleans and Atlanta, Georgia. He graduated from Raiden High School, and he entered the Air Force in September of 2004. After spending a year in the Air Force and being kicked out, he joined the Marine Corps a few days later. He went to boot camp in March of 2005 in Paris Island and was medically retired from the Marine in June of 2018. He's a motivational speaker, an inspirational speaker, and currently writing 2 books to inspire others. He personally is working to transform his traumatic events into unique life and motivation for those who experience trauma, to turn positive motivation and to inspire not only themselves, but the world around them through God and the pure willpower. So Anthony is a friend of mine. I got to hear his story live in person as we were sharing our stories on a stage in Austin, Texas, just a few weeks ago. And I cannot wait to get to hear more of his story right here with you. I only got 6 minutes, guys. So we're going to dig right on in. You're going to hear a lot about what he went through in those 2 tours and how it transformed his life. But please help me welcome Anthony to the stage. Hey, Anthony.
How you doing?
So good. So happy to have you with me today. Thank you for saying yes. And thank you for showing up. And thank you in advance for inspiring us. As we talked about, you're a motivational speaker, an inspirational thought leader, and we can't wait to dig in. But say hello and tell us just a little bit about yourself. What are you up to these days?
Sure. So these days, right now, we just my company, Divine Warriors, and my partners. My actual sergeant major from when I served in the Marine Corps, sergeant major T.O. Clay, and another Marine, Sherman Thomas, Mold, Men of Excellence. We're just started. We did our first event in Marietta, Georgia, at the Pop Up and Create studios, and right now that's our first of several tours that we're doing right now. We got another one in Arkansas already scheduled for August, and then we're working on scheduling, getting everything ready for Lexington, Kentucky, either later on this month or next month. And then myself working on, like I say, I'm working on my 2 books. Not gonna get the names, but one is gonna be about basically not living and dwelling in your happiness, actually facing your actual trauma so that you can be fully happy. So that's what that was gonna be about. The other one, and that's gonna be about myself. That's gonna be the first book that's gonna actually be talking about me. And right now, just like I say, trying to get my story out. Talk about my multiple deaths, my birth, my death before my birth, my injuries, how God has actually touched my actual body and my life and changed my mindset and everything like that. And just trying to serve other men and veterans. And for me, it's self therapy, because regular therapy, VA therapy, and stuff like that hasn't worked, and for a reason this has. So I'm gonna face it out, stick it out, and that's what I'm working on. And just meeting and connecting people with like you, like we connected immediately. It was nice meeting you. Yes.
So cool. There's so much to unpack here, and we're gonna chip away a little bit at a time. But I want to elaborate on what you just said about It's therapy to serve others. It's therapy to share your pain. It's therapy to do those things. And so many times we, I think, have been conditioned as a human race, not just men, not just women, but as a human race to believe that that we don't need to take care of anybody, but we need to take care of ourselves. And we need to, we've become such a self inward focused human race that's what keeps people stuck. So tell us how that journey began, how you shifted from traditional therapy to realizing, oh no, I really feel better when I'm helping somebody else.
When I realized that it wasn't working, regular therapy for me wasn't working because it's kind of, I guess you could say, a contradiction, oxymoron, whatever you want to use. That I don't like repeating myself. So it's like I don't like talking about the same thing over and over and over and over and over and just not doing nothing, just talking. So for me, was traditional therapy. Like I have mental issues, I have a TBI, I have behavioral issues, I have seizures, I have other chronic issues, I have pain issues, back issues, sleep issues, a number of other issues that people just looking at me like I stutter. So people just looking at me, just talking, they think I'm normal. If you want to put a dope or actual word on it, regular.
Sure.
Nothing's wrong with me. However, everything for me is internal. So you won't know it unless I tell you, or unless you see the scar on my head and you ask about it, then I'll tell you about it. So regular therapy hasn't worked because when you leave that office, they say you go find a support system, this, that, whatever, talk, find something that makes you happy, go, whatever. And it doesn't work because when that's to me is like a Band-Aid. It doesn't last long. It's like a high. You're only going to be high for so long, then boom, you're back to reality. So it wasn't working for me. And my reality, to me, it was trauma, it was pain, it was struggle dealing with kids, mental, having a reality, losing the Marine Corps, courts, custody, coming to person that I'm a 30-something, 40-year-old man that I can't live on my own. I can't drive. I have nurses. I go to the VA on a regular basis. I got to depend on other people and still at the same time be a man, be a daddy, all those stereotypical things. Then, so I found that it didn't work. So, I did suicide. I put myself into the hospital. I won't say nightmares because I don't remember, but I have visions. I hear stuff. I have all of that. So going through daily life for me, it is literally pain because sitting down in this chair, I'm leaning like this because right now I'm comfortable. They say don't look at the camera, but right now on my back is comfortable. When I sit back like this, I feel it all down here. So walking on stage, standing on stage, sitting down, talking, walking, all that stuff I'm in pain 24/7. I get headaches, I get migraines. For my seizures, I'm talking, I'm fully alert, conscious, knowing what's going on. I zone out, this and that. I can go on and on and on. So it doesn't work for me. Then when speaking and writing came about, I was actually contemplating suicide. I was actually sitting in the back of my dad's house, talking to God, how I talk. Like me and God, I don't pray. We just talk. We just talk. And I was sitting in the back, smoking my medical, because it helps, and talking. And I was going through it. I was homeless, dealing with kids, custody, all type of other stuff. And out the blue, I got the phone call from my sergeant major T.O. Clay, who was talking with Dr. Oliver Reed, who became my writing coach. And I came up in conversation and I'm talking to God, talking about killing myself. He's saying this and that. I was going through it, tears, not all of that. And then he tells me, and then I get the phone call, and he said he was talking about writing this and that, this and that, and they was having a show in Hateville, Atlanta, which is in College Park. And so Sergeant Major said, "Go." So I went, and I never met Dr. Reed. Just talked to him on the phone that one time. Then we talked like a couple other times after that about my book, and never met him, nothing like that. So didn't know anybody there, nothing. So I went there, and everybody, talking, mingling. Met Dr. Reed. And sitting there, he was on the other side of the room. They were doing a panel, and they had one seat left. It was the first seat. And I'm just sitting there looking around, waiting on Sergeant Major, just like, okay, what is this? Where I'm at, not knowing nothing. I ain't know about speakers, this and that. People came and spoke to us before, while I was in and all that stuff, but, really didn't know what it was. So sitting there, and Dr. Reed just looking, how you can feel somebody just looking at you from the room. So he looking at me, and I'm looking, I just feel it. I look, and so I get up.
Like, come up here?
Yeah. And so I get up, I sit in that one seat, and I'm the first one to talk. And I introduce myself, say a little bit. And then I think next to me was Jose. It was Jose Escobar of Connect Leaders Academy. He said whatever, I spoke, and then got off stage, and people came, introduced themselves to me and all that stuff like that. And then that literally was the day I met my circle. That was that. Every single person in that room on that stage, it literally held my hand, like, here, do this, meet this person, do this. Every single person on that stage. And then it just went on, and that's how speaking and writing came. Like, they said speak, they said write, do this, like, and that's how I didn't go looking for speaking. I didn't seek it out. I didn't do anything. And when I got done, when I got off the stage, I literally felt better. Because that same night, after that phone call, I got continuing talking with God, and he told me, I remember it was like about 2, 3 in the morning, and he said, go inside. And I'm the oldest of 6, and I'm a junior. And he said, go inside and talk to my sister, who's the youngest. And he said, go inside and talk to her. And it's 2, 3 in the morning, and she sleep. I'm outside, and we literally meet in the kitchen. Like, she literally waking up, going in the kitchen, get something, and we meet in the kitchen. And God literally just grabbed me on my shoulders and pushed me down on the floor, and I'm laid out like this, snot running, snow. And I'm just saying, I understand. And my sister is watching all of this. And I'm saying, I understand. Yes. And the very next day, which was the first time I went to church in like years. And I always question God, like, why this happened to me? Why I seen this? Why this, and this? Why? Because I don't be doing nothing, nobody. I just be being me. And so it was talking about Habakkuk. And I always heard about Habakkuk, but I never know who he was. I just know that he was one of the men that actually questioned God, and God answered his questions immediately. And that's what I was doing. That whole time I was cursing, questioning. I was going through it, and he immediately answered. I told him, it was a Saturday night, and me and her went to church that Sunday morning. And that whole sermon was about Habakkuk and questioning God and answering and what you're going through and this and that and how certain things and how he went through and all that stuff. And the whole time the preacher, who I never met, church I never went to, he looking, I'm sitting on the back, he looking this and that, la la la. And so they ask for people to come forward, whatever, and like something just grabbed my leg. I'm sitting down, something just grabbed my leg, and I just get up, go, and I'm standing there, Teresa. I'm standing there by myself.
Wow.
I'm standing there by myself in front of all these people I never met, don't know, and I'm comfortable. I'm at peace. I'm comfortable. I'm not dangerous. I'm not anything.
Yeah.
And that's how I was speaking that. And if I realized, and then I did a podcast right after that, and I did a podcast right after that, and another, and I was comfortable.
Yeah.
And it was somewhere else I did, but anyway, though, I just realized that that's how I knew that speaking and writing for me was therapy, because I was comfortable.
Yeah. Well, they say when it's your gift, or when you're anointed, it just flows, right? That it doesn't feel like work. And, I'm interested, Anthony, because a lot of people might have in your situation, and in any situation, it doesn't matter if it's your situation or somebody else's, but a lot of people will find this can't be my call because I'm disqualified because of XYZ. Right. I know I personally disqualified myself from things for years because of past regrets and choices and things of that nature. And of course, you just shared with us some physical handicaps that you have with the seizures and things like that. So I bet a lot of people without faith would have disqualified themselves, and you would have lost on that joy and that peace that you get when you share your story, right?
All right.
So tell us a little bit about, like, did you ever come into moments where you're like, I don't really know if this is a thing for me, but then immediately something changed?
No. The only thing that I would say if negative from this is obviously what everybody says, the financial piece. Other than that, no. No. It's the regular human interactions. You're gonna have the people trying to use you, people trying to do all regular stuff. And I have that. I have had that happen to me. I've been doing this 2 years now, I think, going on 3, I think. So, but no. For me, it's like I say, it's the therapy, and that I've the people that have actually stayed behind me, knowing the personal, and still like, come on, do this, meet this person, introduce this person. Don't worry about it. Come on, do this. That has what kept me going. And then the people that like my Facebook community I made. I did that off because following my mentor, Jose Escobar is my mentor. Following his leadership, I did that off of nothing, and I saw how quickly that grew in a matter of minutes, and now it's almost at 200. And I've been lacking on that myself because of personal.
Sure.
So I haven't been doing my lives. However, though, I've been doing my lives and that I would normally do. However, though, the people that are already in there, and then still going, people still joining, people still requesting, still people, even though I'm not making the money aspect, I know I can see the intangible aspect that I'm hitting. And so for me, that's what it is, because I'm not in it for the money. One thing I learned that a lot of the conflict I do have with some of the speakers I came across and other entrepreneurs is that I don't want to be a millionaire. I'm not in this to make the money. I will literally, I know I need money to live and all that stuff like that. But once I have that, I will literally give it away. Like I want to do a nonprofit for profit, just to literally give money away to men and veterans that have went through with custody issues. baby mama issues, being homeless, not having the money to pay bills because of whatever your needs are. Having people trying to use veterans for their own benefit, people trying to take advantage of men, women coming after men, this and that. I have all that happen to me from every single race all over the world.
Wow.
So, and I don't need money. When I grew up not poor, but I grew up in the hood. I grew up in the projects. I grew up in the, my mama thought she was moving us into the suburbs. No, no, we still didn't do all this. So we on the West Bank, but it's still it's the same thing. So I grew up like that, so I don't need them. I don't need money. I'm cool with a 1-bedroom apartment, a 2-3 bedroom house. As long as my kids good, that my kids are my why. So as long as my why is taken care of, and my basic needs are met, I'm good. I will give money away. To me, money is a tool. It's not a need. It's not an obligation. It is a tool.
Yeah.
And so I see the intangible that I'm hitting. I see my Marines that I serve with and I serve under. I see them watching. I see the people in the background. Y'all, they might be liking and sharing, but they watching. I see the algorithm. I see it. So as long, one of my quotes is that Christoph got us doing. One of my quotes, I got a few quotes, but one of them that I like is that you're gonna hear me, and those that don't hear me, you still gonna hear me. So I'm gonna keep saying what I'm saying, and the books, the little anthologies I'm in, the books that I'm in and stuff, and then I see how myself is growing, and then I see that leave some for my kids, because I know my own death is coming. I know my death is coming. I'm not going to be here to see my grandkids. So what I'm doing now, what I already done, what the Marine Corps has already given me, what the Lord has already blessed me with, my kids are taken care of. I'm 100% PNT. God willing, I'm going to get what I need from the other people. I'm not going to speak that. So, my kids are good. Now I got to work on my grandkids and making sure the foundation for my kids are taken care of so that they can provide for their kids.
So smart to think legacy. And, there's a couple things around this that I would love for you to elaborate on a little bit. Number one, I love your heart and how you talked about, you're not really in it for the money. And I would say that everybody has different motivation moments in their lives, right? And sometimes, of course, if the situation was different, money might be a motivator, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's what do you do with it, right? What is the tool? But the other thing I want to share is I've learned in coaching so many people, and to the people that I get to speak to and to be mentored by, is that there's usually like 3 things. There's money, time, and magic. And, I don't like to always use the word magic, because, I am very much in my faith, and I don't want somebody to get the wrong idea. But what I mean by the word magic is the thing that lights you up, right? The joy that you get. And so for you, I think the magic is being able to see somebody inspired, right? To be able to see somebody's life changed by hearing your story. And I think that's a pretty common thread for a lot of inspirational speakers, that they can take those painful moments of their lives and flip it into something that is beneficial, whether it's food for somebody else or, air for their lungs. Because, when we go through things, so many times we're starving, right? We're starving to be seen. We're starving to be heard. We're starving because we're in the middle of those traumatic events. And, and when you show up and you show up for somebody else, just like the circle of the people that met you at that place, right? At your very first opportunity to speak, is those people met you there and they said, Anthony, I see you. Like, none of these stuff, nothing else matters. I see you where you are present today in this moment.
Right.
And when you have an opportunity to speak with somebody from a stage or even on a podcast or whatever, you're not worried about their past. you're not really worried about their future. You're worried about this moment that they're in right now and hoping that you're inspiring them in some direction. And that's magic, right? That's the intangible. And that's worth more than gold.
Thank you. Yes, because I've learned from like I've died 2 times, went to hell both times. I died before I was born. Like the story when I said on stage about the voice in the dust, that was about me. That was about me.
Wow.
And so I learned that went to hell, told all of that, talk with God, all that what we have here on this earth is not forever. It's not meant to be forever. We're meant to use it for where it's supposed to be used for. No more, no less, no extra. No pulling wherever you can get the last little drop from it. No, we're all individually connected. People ask, can one person change the world? Yes, because one person touched one person, that person touched another person. I call it a individual collective, because everybody touches somebody. You look at everybody's story, good, bad. We all really went through the same thing. Everybody's been touched wrongly. Everybody been hurt wrongly. Everybody lost someone. Everybody knows someone that been somewhere. We all been through the same issues. It's just what we do with the after effect and the domino effect of those issues. And for me, I learned that with mine, that I'm not perfect. Another thing I quoted is that I'm a perfect, imperfect man trying to be a perfect, imperfect man. Because I make mistakes and my situations, I am, accountable for it in ways. However, what we do affect other people's lives in a good way and a bad way.
Yeah.
So
Say that. I want the viewers to get that one more time. So I think you said I'm a perfectly imperfect man trying to be imperfectly perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us where you came up with that is so profound, Anthony. Tell us where you came up with that.
I just made it up.
Well, mic drop, boom.
I just made it up.
Well, I love it.
I just made it up because I look at it as that we are all trying to be perfect, but we will never be perfect. And as good as we all think we are, and we believe we are, and we know that we have hurt people, we have lied, we have stole, we have manipulated knowingly, unknowingly, we have used people for our own gain. We have bullied people. Some of us have murdered people for the country, for not the country, for our own good. Some of us committed crimes. Some of us, and those exact same people have turned around and helped people, has turned around, have done good for people, have turned around and blah, 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 yada, yada. And those same people don't deserve to be hurt, don't deserve to be manipulated and all that type of stuff too. You do deserve to be punished for what you've done, accordingly. I do agree with that. I do agree an eye for an eye. However, you need to be that eye, not somebody else's eye in place of that eye. That's what I do believe. But so that's what I think, because I have paid for my sins. I have committed sins, horrible sins, good sins, small sins, big sins, or everyone did it. I have paid. Karma have got me good. And so I'm on now. Now that karma got me, I paid for my sins. I went to hell. I seen all that I seen and been told what I've been told, now, and God have brought me back every time. So I see that this is my last chance. So, hey, and things came to me how they came to me, and I'm realizing, and self accountability, knowing oneself, self awareness. I am that. So, and from my birth and everything being and everything else, I'm another quote said that I am a living, breathing, walking biblical miracle. So I need to do something, because I've been told twice where I'm going. So the third time's a charm.
Wow. That's powerful. And I so much appreciate you sharing that. I met another gentleman yesterday who had a similar situation. He died on a medical table during a surgery, and also found that fate. And gosh, having had that experience, Anthony, and just having a glimpse of what life without God is, death, right? What did that do for your urgency and your desire to serve others? Like tell me if that fuels you every day. Like, what does that do for you? I mean, it's obviously you're on fire.
It's
I can see
it
it,
it
but
it's other than my why, it keeps me alive.
yeah.
Because without it and my why, I have no reason to be alive.
Wow.
So because of my personal situation with the VA and money and kids and everything else, and what other use is a man if he cannot provide profoundly for him and his kids? He's other than that, he's nothing but a bank account. He's nothing but a tool to be used around the house and a Uber driver. That's it. Till he die. He gonna be stressed. He gonna be yelling, and that's gonna turn into nothing good. So without my kids dying, and that's it.
Yeah.
To me, that's how I look at it. That if you can't provide for yourself, you can't provide for your kids. And so I've been in a situation where I'm literally going through life with both hands tied behind my back, but I'm still obligated to use both my hands. So you do what you got to do with the choices that you have.
Yeah. Wow. So tell us, when you have an opportunity to speak on stage and you're doing this traveling and you're doing these things, what happens to typically be your message? What is it that you share the most?
Me and whatever I'm feeling at the moment or the theme or whatever it is. But I also found that what I do write down, as you saw at the event, is not what I always say on stage. So I try to stick with that, but I mostly revert back to myself and things that I know and seen, and then I just try and spin that around, the way I can, and I usually just be me. Like, I don't talk a specific way. I don't do a specific thing. I take what I learned, the tools that I learned from the coaches and everything like that, and make it my own. But I pretty much, that's what it is. Like, if, let's say, the men want to talk about leadership, we're going to talk about leadership, and that go wherever it goes, So we're going to talk about mentorship, God, it goes wherever it goes. That's how I pretty much look at it. Because for me, I found if I try and stick with a certain line, a plan, a plan never works out. Like, I didn't plan for the mic to go out that two times in that second. That made I had to go the whole thing. So, but pretty much stick with whatever is going on at that time, the theme, and what happens on stage, happen on stage.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you surrender to whatever is supposed to happen, and that's probably what makes you so successful.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Well, I have just truly enjoyed this conversation, and I know that there's probably a lot of men out here that are like, wow, what I love about hearing stories from people is that so many times in our life, we have come to the conclusion that, like, our big thing, whatever that big thing is, right? Our big thing that we deal with is the biggest thing on the planet. And then we hear a story like yours, and your story doesn't diminish anybody else's story, but it can put some perspective on it, and it can tell them how to potentially work through some things. And so as I'm listening to you share your story today, in those dark moments, you always had that communication with the Lord, right? And so that was one thing. And then it sounds like the next level up was the connection with other people. So if somebody was watching today and they're like, man, I've felt the way Anthony has felt a couple of times. Like I've had the pressure of the family and the regrets and maybe some betrayals and some things that have been hard. And maybe they have been at the place of contemplating, end of life decisions and things like that. What would you encourage them with?
I'll say, I'd say like this with me, the reason why I didn't, first time my son just so happened to walk in. Like I was so in it with voices and other stuff that I hear and see and everything else and other worldly stuff that he just so happened to walk in. Like, I'm hungry, Daddy, and just so happened to walk in. Another time, and it doesn't happen a lot. It really doesn't happen a lot. So that's how I knew it was something. My little girl, her mom, she let her mom call, and she called, and it was like 12:30, almost 1 o'clock in the morning. It never happened. Me and her, we don't talk at all. So, for me, it was things like that. Another time, the other time that I was going to do, I'm sitting there thinking about it, and all of a sudden, the domino effect of me doing it, popped in my head, and it was my kids. That was my why. So I was like,
yeah,
I gotta suffer through the voices, suffer through the vision, suffer through life, suffer through. You got to. For me and the other men that I know that are like-minded like me, a lot of people say we're hard to understand because we're so blunt, so honest, so open, and and that's because things that we've seen done and all that type of stuff like that. I look at I'm built to go through this. So I've been going through it this much, been handling this much, and I'm still here doing what I'm doing. I'm not where I want to be. However, movement is movement. Whether it's slow movement, whether it's cautious movement, whether you're jogging, running, screaming, racing through it, flying through it, you still move. As long as you're moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
So if I gotta low crawl, if I gotta drag myself through it, I'm do something until I can't do it no more.
So good. So good. Well, I think just what you showed me and what you really represented there is purpose, right? That, God gives us these beautiful gifts called human friends and family and children and all of that because he has a very specific purpose for it. And sometimes he'll put that purpose right in front of our face to remind us of what we're made of and what we have to fight for. And so to me, I would say, just summing that up, to say, hey, if somebody is struggling, think about the people who would miss you, whose legacy would be completely shifted if you weren't here, and not in a good way, right? Like all that you bring to their lives and to the table is so important, and you matter.
Right.
You absolutely matter. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And your past, as you said so well earlier, our past it doesn't define us. It may have been a chapter in the book, but guess what? There's a couple things we can do. We can write the next chapter. We can also burn the book. We don't have to keep going back to it. We can say that was an old chapter that doesn't define me, right? And I can write a new one. I love that you're writing books, Anthony. I love that you're doing anthologies. I think that's one of the best ways that people can share their story is through the book, because obviously you can be on stages, but stages aren't always available, right? But a book is something that can be in people's hands. They can go all over the world. They can be translated in different languages. And when you share your story collectively with other humans, that means your story cascades into their stories as well, and y'all can reach more people.
Correct. Exactly.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Wow. Well, is there any last words or thoughts you would like to share with our audience tonight as we wrap this up?
That we all have a purpose, no matter what it is, whether we know it or not, and just push through it. That's it. Simplify.
Yeah. So good. Thank you. Amen. Like I am 100%. Yes. Anthony, how can people connect with you?
Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Just look up my name. You see my face here. So divinewarriorsdimension.com is my website. I just put up merchandise. The website is there. Also booking. You can book me on there. And yeah, also the communities. You know, all different communities. Yeah, my own group, the Great Friendship Challenge, Connect Leaders Academy, the He-Men community, the He-Men group. That's my other community, and again, website divinewarriorsdimension.com. And yeah, support the veterans.
That's so good. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you for showing up and sharing your wisdom with everyone here in our community. I know that, again, as they hear their story, they'll have permission to look back in their own lives and start working through it and take some of these key moments, right? Dig into their faith, think about the things that are right in front of them that are so important, and get a mentor. Because sometimes that's exactly what we need, is somebody to peek behind the curtain and see the things that we can't always see.
Yes, mentorship.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Anthony. I appreciate you joining us today. We are going to go ahead and end for now. Friends, I want to say thank you for taking the time to listen, to share, and to all of the unbreakable men that are out there. Take from Anthony's message today and take the words that you have a purpose. You have something worth fighting for, something worth getting through the daily grind and those hard things that maybe you put up with. And I hope and pray that maybe you haven't had to see some of the things that Anthony has had to see, but whatever it is, let it propel you towards discovering your purpose. Because as he said, when our time here is done, we don't get to take anything with us. So show up and be the unbreakable man that you are today. And part of that is connecting and with mentors and amazing people like Anthony and like ourselves at the Unbreakable Men team. We are here to walk this journey with you. You were never meant to walk alone. God bless you, friends. Thank you.